Okay, this concept's going to be very hard for a lot of you to understand, and I'm perfectly okay with that because I'm going to be talking about Meeskeeks, Mr. Meeskeeks from Rick and Morty, and I wanted to relay this concept right here. So like when they come into the world, and this is exactly how you come into the world, like happy, excited, ready to face any adversity or challenge that comes your way. Like, I mean, just look at this baby. Look at how cute this little baby is. He's smiling, he's happy, like he's just so joyful and full of life, just like Mr. Meeskeeks is right off the bat, or right off the rip, depending on which way you look at it. And then as you find out later in the series, when they don't fulfill their purpose, just as maybe you yourself also have not done, you don't fulfill your purpose, so what ends up happening? You end up going down a route that you don't want to go down. You end up becoming this person right here. You end up becoming a drunk. You end up becoming somebody that avoids their problems instead of facing them head on, like the young, naive, quote unquote naive Mr. Meeskeeks. And there's this concept where it's just like we Meeskeeks are not born into the world fumbling for meaning, Jerry. We are created to serve a single purpose for which we will go to any lengths to fulfill. Existence is pain to a Meeskeeks, Jerry, and we will do anything to alleviate this pain or that pain. And the same concept can also be seen in Buddhism, where what the Buddha talks about is there are 3 types of suffering: mental and physical, along with distress from impairments and change. Mental and physical this includes the stress of life like sickness, old age, and death, which is exactly what the Meeskeeks talk about. They talk about how their life is suffering if they don't have the fulfillment that they have. It's exactly like a baby. The baby comes into this world to be able to fulfill its desires, and once its desires are filled, it ends up ceasing to exist. This is why certain people come into life and leave before quote unquote their time, but it's like everything is working out in the exact same way that it needs to. And there's another episode of Rick and Morty where Rick meets his younger self in Bird Person's brain. He's like, do you believe it is? It was something about like who has free will, and it's like, yeah, who really does? It's the exact same concept because like we are here for a reason, to serve our purpose, and the reason why you maybe feel down on yourself is because you aren't serving your purpose. This is talked about in this book called Psycho-Cybernetics, where we are goal-striving mechanisms, just as the Meeskeeks are, and once you give yourself, your subconscious, a goal to work towards, then it goes out and does that said thing. Now, if you start to avoid and remove those, say, feelings or perspectives of like what you believe to be right versus what you believe to be wrong, then you start to go do like drugs and alcohol and have meaningless sex and watch pornography and like do all these dumb things that aren't going to help you achieve your goal, because you've decided that like you're basically, what ended up happening is you became the Meeskeek that wasn't able to fill his purpose because maybe you made it too hard or too challenging, or you just gave up halfway through. But like my perspective and my belief, and why there's another good book on this called The Magic of Thinking Big, which is like you want to have a better, larger purpose that's going to be more all-encompassing compared to like a smaller purpose that you aren't going to be able to obtain. And it's better to have something that's going to like last you a lifetime than have a short temporary one, because like once you get fulfilled, and maybe once you've graduated from college or high school or even like your job or whatever it is, and you got your dream job, and it's like, wow, okay, I feel the exact same. It's like you just wanted to like not be here. Like you wanted to disappear and not have your existence, but also at the same time, like the world is suffering. And the reason that it's suffering is because you have not set a clear focus or clear goal on the objective that you're wanting to achieve in your life. This is what I've seen in my own personal life. I know that when I wasn't working towards something worthy or ideal, like I was just going through the motions of like just sitting on the couch, being lazy, not having really any drive or motivation. I was also taking a little bit of time off because I've been working ever since I was like 16 or so. So I mean, that's a little bit of a different story for a different day. But I just look at it in terms, and I never even thought about this, and you can think about it this way too, is like Meeskeeks broken down is just me and see. So me sees something, so me see someone doing something else. So it's like now I seek to go do that said thing. And once I seek to do that one thing, one of my neighbors is running outside. Once I seek to do that same thing, then all of a sudden, like I've set my subconscious, my goal-striving mechanism to be able to achieve the thing that I'm setting out to achieve. This is what Meeskeeks do. They do the thing that you yourself have the ability to do. It's based off of our subconscious. We tell our subconscious, we give it a task, and once we give it that task and it achieves the goal, then it ceases to exist. There's this guy called Earl Nightingale, which I highly recommend you check him out as well too. He talks about this concept where, let's say you're in a ship or you're in a boat, and you want to get to a certain destination. You have to know that destination that you're going to, otherwise you'll just be wandering around aimlessly. My friend told me the exact same thing. Is like, you want to shoot for the stars. And I was like, yeah, dude, I shoot for the stars. He's like, but if you shoot for every single star, you're never going to know which star to shoot for. So it's like, shoot for one specific star, set your task, like tell him Meeskeek, like, hey, I want to be more popular, I want to be a more fulfilling woman, or I want to take 2 strokes off my golf game, or I want you to kill this said Nazi, prick or whatever it is. And like, let your mind go off and do those things while you are resting. Because like, when it doesn't end up happening, and when like the goal isn't achieved, now all of a sudden you're basically fighting yourself. You're fighting all of these other ideas and conflictions, because the first task that you set out, it didn't end up happening. So then you create another Meeskeeks, and then another one, and another one, and another one, and they keep adding on to each other, but none of them ever get fulfilled, and the desires never get reached. So then you're in this spiral of like, well, I wasn't able to do this thing beforehand, so how am I going to do this other thing now? And then moving forward, it's just like, it's a whole big challenge for you to be able to find like that one specific path. But it's why it's so important to understand that like the Meeskeeks are you, they're your subconscious. You set the goal, and then you work towards that goal every single day, regardless of how small those steps are. Some days it's going to be frustrating, sometimes it's not going to be as frustrating, but it's just like, as long as you're taking small incremental steps, you aren't getting frustrated, and you're trying over and over again, and you're making those small little iterations, and like, bring down your hips, and like, to be able to increase your golf swing or whatever it may be. Or it's like, hey, you don't actually have to have somebody else to fulfill you. Like, the desire to be popular is what makes you not popular. So it's the whole paradox. Alan Watts talks about this, which I can talk about him a little bit later too, if you've never heard about him. But it's just like, having to understand that like, also the third rule in Buddhism is like, distress from the impermanence and change. This includes the pain of losing what we hold dear and failing to get what we want. So it's like, we are here to fulfill our desires. Just like as the Meeskeeks were here and created to fulfill their desire, their task. You have the exact same skill set and knowledge within yourself. You just have to go out and try it, test it, write down a goal, grab a sheet of paper and write down like, what do you want out of life? What is one thing that you can work towards doing? And then go work and take those incremental steps each and every single day, and you will get there. Like, break down the task into individual bite-sized pieces. So if we use Jerry as an example, it's just like, he wanted to get a better golf swing and take off strokes off of his game. It's like, first off, you want to, and I only know a little bit about golf, but like, you bend your knees, you stroke, you want to keep your eye on the ball, you swing, you do that over and over and over again. It's repetitive. I did this with sales when I was picking up the phone. I do this with my videos as well too. I post a video, I look at it, I go on a bike ride or go on a walk, I evaluate like, okay, what worked well, what didn't work well, how can I make this better, what are you wanting to see? And this is where you can always leave comments down below to let me know like what ideas, questions, perceptions you have. Because I love reading the comments, and I appreciate every single one of you that does leave a comment and a like on the video. It really helps me out. Like, I'd be making these videos one way or another if it wasn't for you, but I understand that like, I am impacting, and I love reading the comments that you do say, because I can see that these are changing your life. So that's why I like using these analogies from shows and series and TV shows that you also know, because like, we have these concepts that are just hidden in shows and they might not be as clear. Same thing applies to Bibles and religions and all these other concepts, but I'm not going to get into that today. So it's like, we all come for this one specific purpose, and we want, and our whole desire, our whole purpose of being here for the meaning of life, this is at least my own perception of what I've believed to be true, is like, our meaning for being here is to fulfill our desires in this lifetime, so that then when we come back in another lifetime, we can do the exact same thing over and over and over again. And this can be seen, if you don't believe me that we have different lifetimes, look at it how like, sometimes you'll meet a random person on the side of the street or whatever it is, and you're like, you've known them forever. Or you can be born as like a child prodigy that knows how to play the piano right off the bat, because that's just ingrained in your psyche and in your DNA and in your mind, and like, you've just had multiple different iterations around your entire life to be able to get to this point. So it's like, you have the same power. You just have to set your eyes on the sights of something great, and you will succeed. And that's basically what you have to do. That's how you and Meeskeeks are the exact same, and why if you don't work towards fulfilling your purpose, you end up becoming a drunk. You end up becoming somebody that's lazy, that's just angry, that's resentful, that's unhappy, compared to like, when you came into the world, you were happy, you were joyful, like, you had no idea what had happened, like, you were just ready to face the world as anything came, because you hadn't been bullied, beaten down, battered by the worlds of life. But like, you still do have that mechanism within your own mind, within your own psyche, that will help you be able to achieve the goals that you're setting out to achieve. And once you set that and you know it and you define it, you will obtain it. I know this for a fact, because I've done it myself over and over multiple times. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Cool. If you like this different format, let me know down in the comments, or just any sort of feedback, whatever it may be. And if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.